and gentlemen, to the She Knows Pro Football podcast. Once again, I'm Alice, aka the NFL Girl. And once again, I got my good friend Dominick here with me. Dominick, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I had some health stuff going on, but I had a great weekend going up to New York and hanging out and stuff. So all in all, it was a good weekend.
You guys, Dominick has an interesting life. I would love to get into it. If you want to know more, feel free to go on theathletic.com and you can read all about Dominick. I hope you guys do because he's an awesome dude and I love him to death. But you guys, we are on to week 2. Week 1 was kind of interesting. We got a lot of them right, got a bunch of them wrong because there was some unexpected things that happened. So we got to get started on week 2 because, man, there's some good games headed for this week. But it does not start on Thursday night. Thursday, we got the 0-1 New York Giants headed to Washington to face the 0-1 Washington football team. Dominick, who you got?
Yeah, like you said, this is an ugly game, so let's just keep it short and simple. The Giants suck. Washington, I think they're better than they played on Sunday. Obviously, it's going to be tough without Ryan Fitzpatrick there. They're going to have to turn to Taylor Heinicke. They were confident enough to start him in the playoffs last year, and he did very good in a loss against Tampa Bay. I think he's going to do good again this week, especially with a full week of practice. They have Antonio Gibson there, Terry McLaurin, J.D. McKissick. I think they're all going to do great. That defense is amazing, so I'm just going to take Washington and win this game at home.
You guys, honestly, I do not like this matchup at all because I do not like either one of these teams. Daniel Jones, it showed me a lot of the same crap that I did not like about him last season. Everybody was hyped on, well, he'll have Saquon back, and that's going to be the difference. And that did not make a damn bit of difference. They are still a terrible, terrible team. Washington, meanwhile, we're going to see what's going to happen with the loss of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I do know that Taylor Heinicke did pretty well last season, towards the end of the season, and in the playoffs, he did decent even in that loss. He still has Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, but it's that dominating defense that they have that I'm always impressed by. And going against Danny Dimes, I definitely see them being able to capitalize, especially there at home. Got to give this game to Washington. Moving on to Sunday, we got the surprising 1-0 Cincinnati Bengals headed to Chicago to face the 0-1 Bears. Dominick, who you got?
Yeah, it is surprising that Cincinnati won the game against Minnesota. What was less surprising is that Cincinnati had another season where they went to overtime. I'm surprised they didn't have another tie. It seems like for the past 15, 20 years, they have a tie every year. It would have been strange for them to get the first tie again this year. But they did look pretty good. Joe Burrow looked to be back. Jamar Chase was actually catching the ball instead of dropping it like he was doing all preseason. They have really good wide receivers. Chicago's defense isn't nearly as good as it used to be. Hopefully they go to Justin Fields in this game, but I think they'll probably stay with Andy Dalton at least for a little bit, but we'll see. They haven't made an announcement yet. I know this game is in Chicago. This is a revenge game for Andy Dalton, which kind of makes it a little iffy, but there were 8 road teams that won last week, so I think it'd take a road team again here, and I think Cincinnati is actually going to get to 2-0 and possibly lead the division after 2 weeks.
Honestly, you guys, I was highly impressed by the Bengals with the healthy Joe Burrow. Mainly what I was impressed by was Jamar Chase. I know he looked kind of iffy in the preseason and everything, and it was kind of like, is this guy overrated? Was he picked too high? What are we going to actually get out of this kid? And then he got in the game and he looked damn good and he got his first touchdown. So kudos to Jamar Chase. Kudos to Joe Burrow coming back healthy and looking good in that game, looking great in that win. They're headed to Chicago. I was so disappointed in Chicago. I kind of saw this coming with them deciding to go with Andy Dalton as their starting QB. I'm still kind of pissed at Matt Nagy for going in that direction instead of with Justin Fields. And then they put Justin Fields in the game and he scores a touchdown. So he's showing that he has the capability of marching his team down the field and getting touchdowns. I don't understand the decision to stick with Andy Dalton. I'm hoping that they will make the decision to go with Justin Fields this week. I'm not confident that Matt Nagy will do that. And that being said, despite the fact that he has David Montgomery as his running back, if it's going to be the Red Rifle again as the starting QB, with the way that Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase look with the Bengals, I got to side with you, Dominick. I got to go with the Bengals in this game. And it hurts me to say that because I want to see Justin Fields become the starter and I want to see him start capitalizing, getting wins there in Chicago, but got to give it to the Bengals. Next up, we got the 1-0 Houston Texans headed to Cleveland to face the 0-1 Browns. Dominick, who you got?
Yeah, we both picked Houston to win last week. There was a lot of turmoil going on with Jacksonville. They showed that they may not be the worst team in the league, but it's only been a week, so you never know there. Cleveland's a different beast than Jacksonville is, though. This game's going to be in Cleveland. Cleveland's coming off, even though they lost, they played an almost perfect game against Kansas City. They played as well as they could play without winning the game. This week, I think they do get it done, and I think they probably win this game by double digits.
You guys, I was impressed by what Houston was able to do, but again, this was against the Jaguars, so I mean, you can't be very impressed by beating the Jaguars. I'm not saying that Tyrod Taylor didn't look good there. He did kind of what I expected, because as I tried to tell people, Tyrod Taylor is a good quarterback. He's just in a funky situation because of the whole dynamics there in Houston, but I expect good things out of him. I do not expect good things this week, however, though. Cleveland is pissed. They gave it all they got for, I'd say, 3 3/4 of a game, and then just took their foot off the gas, and that was all Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs needed, and they just ran roughshod over them. So they're pissed, and they're back at home. This is their home opener. It is absolutely no way possible. I know I'm standing out there, but there's no way possible, I believe, that the Browns go 0-2, and particularly they're playing at home. They playing lights out. They looked so good last week. Nick Chubb was looking good. Kareem Hunt was looking good. Jarvis Landry looked good. I just loved how well this team was playing. I wish they had kept their foot on the pedal, but I don't expect a repeat of that this week, so definitely giving this one to the Browns at home. Next up, we got the 1-0 Los Angeles Rams headed to Indianapolis to face the 0-1 Colts. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, the Colts actually looked pretty good on Sunday, even though they only scored 16 points and they lost by 12 points to Seattle. Carson Wentz looked like he knew what he was doing. His foot looked healthy, so that's good to see. Their offensive line, which we thought would be a really big strength, was very disappointing this week, so that's going to have to get better. Their wide receivers don't have much to be worried about, but you do still have Jonathan Taylor there, so that's good. And their defense is missing a few starters, but they still have a solid defense, but their defense is nothing compared to what the Rams have there with Adam Darnold as well as Jalen Ramsey. So I'm going to have to give this one to the Rams. I know they're on the road. They look good against Chicago. Matthew Stafford looked good against Chicago. Darrell Henderson's going to be there. They still have that triplet of pass catchers with Kupp, with Kupp as well as with Robert Woods and with Tyler Higbee. So I'm going to have to give this one to the Rams, which I hate to say because I really did like the Colts coming into this year.
Honestly, I really like the Colts coming into this year too, but you guys, disappointed. There had flashes of good things for them. There is some promise in what Carson Wentz can do. There is some really good promise in what Jonathan Taylor can do. Not impressed so far by what I've seen in his receivers. We'll see. It can improve over time. We'll see what's going to happen there. But these Rams, my goodness, it felt like the piece that had been missing for them was Matthew Stafford. I know that sounds crazy because he was so disappointing in Detroit, but he looked so good for the Rams this past week. My goodness, you guys. I love watching him play. I love the connection that he has with Cooper Kupp and Bobby Trees. I love that he has Darrell Henderson in the backfield. I am very confident in these Rams. I just feel like Stafford was that piece that was missing. I'm hoping he stays healthy all season. I really want to see how far he can take this team. You have a better quality line ahead of you. You have better quality receivers working with you. You have better running backs working with you. And a phenomenal defense. Lord, please let's not forget the Rams defense. So that being said, got to give this game to the Rams. I just don't have faith that the Colts can get it done. Next up, we got the 0-1 Buffalo Bills headed to Miami to face the 1-0 Dolphins. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, this was going to be tough. We know Buffalo didn't play that well on Sunday. They came out flat after we thought they'd be good after a very good preseason. Going down to Miami earlier in the year is always extremely tough. The Patriots seem to go down there every year and lose early in the year. Same thing could happen this year. We saw Miami go up to New England last week and beat them. Pittsburgh really took a lot out of Buffalo. We saw Pittsburgh's defense, what they could do to Buffalo. Miami's defense is just as good. It's going to be extremely hot down there in Florida. And I know the Bills are everybody's team, but I think they're going to fall to 0-2 this week.
The Bills, I was kind of disappointed in what I saw out of them. I don't expect that to continue throughout the season. I still love Josh Allen there. I love what he can do. I love, the connection he has with Stephon Diggs. I like Devin Singletary. They're headed down to Miami. It is hard. This early in the season, it is hard to play in Miami because that heat is ridiculous. And they're just such a solid team right now. I mean, they're 1-0. So, I mean, it's very early in the season. So I don't know if they'll be able to sustain this over the long haul, but I'm impressed by what I've seen of them so far. However, I don't feel like Buffalo is going to allow themselves to fall to 0-2 in that division because that's a long climb to come back from this early on. I am going to have to give this one to the Bills. I feel like they're going to redeem themselves this week. It's going to be a close game because they're going to be there playing down there in that heat, but I definitely got to give this one to the Bills. Next up, we got the 0-1 New England Patriots headed to New Jersey, technically, to face the 0-1 Jets. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, the Jets and the Patriots, neither of them are really good right now, but I do believe in Mac Jones, and I kind of believe in Zach Wilson, too, which was a surprise for me to say coming into this year. The problem I have with the Jets, though, is that they lost Mekhi Becton. I don't know if he's going to be back. He was carted off the field. They have quite a few injuries to deal with, whereas the Patriots are pretty much healthy right now, which I know it's early in the year, so it's easy to say that, but they are healthy. Their defense is much, much better, and we know how much Bill Belichick loves to go up against rookie quarterbacks, and he's going to demolish him like he always does against rookie quarterbacks. He's gonna blitz him. He's gonna confuse him all over the field, and he's gonna make him see ghosts. And it's gonna lead to a lot of scoring for the Patriots and not a lot of scoring for the Jets. So I could see this one being possibly a shutout, but I don't think the Jets get more than 9 points or 10 points in this game.
Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are both rookies. I was impressed by what I saw out of both of them in the preseason. And I'm being honest, I really was impressed by both of them in the preseason. But it was something Mac Jones said in his post-game presser this past week that really impressed me, that I really got that this kid got it. When they tried to hand him his first touchdown ball, he refused it, and he said it's because it matters more about the wins than it does personal achievements. This kid got it. And that being said, I have a little bit more faith in him this week that he'll be able to capture his first win. I know that's saying a lot, it's based off this comment. No, it means that he has that mentality already that he understands is about the W's. It doesn't matter personal accomplishments. It doesn't matter personal achievements. At the end of the day, if you don't get the W, he gives a rat's ass if you scored your first NFL touchdown. I like that he has Damian Harris healthy, so I'm going to give this one to the Patriots. I just have a little bit more faith in Mac Jones, and that's saying something because, like I said, I was impressed by Zach Wilson in the preseason. Next up, we got the 1-0 San Francisco 49ers headed to Philly to face the 1-0 Eagles. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, this one's going to be tough for the 49ers coming across the country. It's always tough on the West Coast team. They also lost Raheem Mostert for the year, so it's going to be tough. They're already dealing with some injuries. The Eagles came out and shocked everybody, maybe not by beating Atlanta, but in the way they beat Atlanta. Their defense played really good. Jalen Hurts played out of this world. Miles Sanders still didn't do anything, but Devontae Smith had his first touchdown in his rookie year, so it was good to see them get off the schneid there. The defense in San Francisco is going to be much, much better than the defense was in Atlanta, and even though they are coming across the country, I do believe that they're going to be able to use Trey Lance very well like they did last week. Jimmy Garoppolo seemed to come on near the end of the game as well, so I'm going to take San Francisco in their two-quarterback system over the Eagles.
I'm sorry that Raheem Mostert was lost for the season. They also lost Jason Verrett there as well. But going forward, I do expect good things out of the 49ers for sure. They have a great defense there. I like what I saw out of Trey Lance. I really like what I saw out of Jimmy G even. I expect good things out of the 49ers. I expect something great there this particular week as well. They're headed to Philly. Eagles look good in their win. Jalen Hurts, you could tell that he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with this team and the weapons that he has there. Very excited for the future that kid is going to have in Philly. But I know that teams that come from the west to the east tend to struggle, but I have a little bit more faith in the 49ers. Definitely got to give this game to the 49ers. Next up, we got the 1-0 Las Vegas Raiders headed to Pittsburgh to face the 1-0 Steelers. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, we said that something happens with the Raiders when they play on Monday night, that they seem to keep it close and win games that they're not supposed to. Neither of us picked them to win this game, but we just thought it would be close, and it was. Now they're going across as well to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had an unexpected win against Buffalo, so both these teams are going to be coming down off a high, which the good thing is it can't be a trap game for either of them because both of them are coming down off the high, so it may just be an ugly game. That said, I'm gonna go with talent, and I think that Pittsburgh is way more talented than the Raiders are. Their defense is much more talented, and Ben Roethlisberger is more talented than Derek Carr. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh in this one in their home opener.
Guys, Monday Night Football. Oh my God. Can I tell y'all that it was a phenomenal game if you didn't catch it? The Raiders looked very, very good in this game. I was very shocked on how well they played. Darren Waller went off in this game. Love connection that Derek Carr has with them, like what I saw out of Josh Jacobs in that game. Steelers, Big Ben is Big Ben. What can I say at the end of the day? He's got great receivers in Juju and in Chase Claypool. He's got a great running back there, surprisingly, in Najee Harris, because I was concerned about them when they got rid of Connor, that they were, depending too much on a rookie. That's actually working out in their favor. They're not going to drop the 1-1, and they're definitely not going to lose their home opener. Definitely got to give this one to the Steelers. They're going to get that win at home. Next up, we got the 1-0 New Orleans Saints headed to Carolina to face the 1-0 Panthers. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, I was totally wrong on my Saints team last week. I thought they were going to get lit up by Green Bay, and it was exactly the opposite. They lit up Green Bay. Jameis Winston had 5 touchdowns in this game. He was, I believe I heard somewhere, he's the first player to ever have 5 touchdown passes on less than 150 passing yards. It was just crazy what he did there. Alvin Kamara didn't have a monster game, but he had his normal game. He did have a receiving touchdown. Obviously, him and McCaffrey are the 2 best players in this game. You can argue which one's better. McCaffrey may be a little bit better. Kamara may be a little bit better, but Kamara's on the much better team. Their offensive line is outstanding. And right now, I'd still take Jameis Winston over Sam Darnold. I would take the Saints defense, even though they do have a couple injuries with Davenport being out, Lattimore may be out as well. So it's going to be tough there. But I still trust the offense of the Saints, and I'm going to take the Saints even being on the road.
My goodness. I know so many people were concerned about what Jameis was going to be able to do with these Saints taking over for Drew Brees. I'm not going to lie, even I had some concerns, but I had a little bit more faith in them than a lot of people did. I did pick them last week because I saw something promising there, and it came to fruition. Jameis Winston throwing for 5 touchdowns is incredible. This team is 1,000% behind him, and I love it. I love that all of them have bought in, that they are now in a new era. And like what I saw, I love what I'm seeing out of that defense as well. I'm so confident in the Saints right now. And I'm so confident, so Carolina, you guys, it was the revenge game. Got a great win. Love seeing what Sam Darnold could do. Love seeing what Christian McCaffrey could do. Sam Darnold to Robbie Anderson connection is so great to see. I love the Carolina Panthers, but I love the Saints just a little bit more because I love what I'm seeing, and I love what I'm seeing out of this resurgence I'm seeing out of Jameis right now. Got to give this one to the Saints. Next up, we got the 1-0 Denver Broncos headed to Jacksonville to face the 0-1 Jaguars. Dominic, who you got?
This game could get ugly. We saw Denver played really good last week against the Giants. They ended up pulling out in the end, 20-7. Their defense is out of this world. They have a great secondary. Not that the Jacksonville Jaguars have anybody to threaten them with. Jacksonville's defense is still null and void. We saw they gave up a ton of points to Houston last week. They're just a terrible team. Urban Meyer, I think we both talked about in the offseason. I think he's in over his head. He may be a one and done there. It may not be because he gets fired, maybe just because he decides to leave and maybe take USC job that just opened up out in LA. You never know. But that being said, his mind is elsewhere. He's all pissed off and everything. Nick Fangio is going to be doing some good things there on defense. Really like what Teddy Bridgewater did last week, and it's going to continue. I know Jerry Jeudy's not there anymore. He's going to be out for at least a month or 2 after his high ankle sprain. It won't matter though. They still have Cortland Sutton there. Tim Patrick can come in as well. They still have Noah Fant. Give me Denver in this one.
We don't know what we're going to get out of the Jaguars. We don't. What I saw last week, I was completely unimpressed by. And I'm not saying that, because, again, Texans aren't a great team, but they just look so great against the Jaguars because the Jaguars are just so bad. And that's saying something. Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 overall pick. I'm not saying he doesn't have a decent arm. He's got good receivers. Again, as I said before, and we saw the catch that DJ Chark made, they have some promising pieces. I don't know that they'll be able to put it all together Taylor, and I'm not sold on Urban Meyer as an NFL head coach. I'm just not. Give me 4 or 5 more games. If he gets a few wins in a row, maybe I'll feel differently. Absolutely not giving him this game against the Broncos. And I'm saying that even the fact that they lost Jared Jeudy, they've got other receivers there that'll step up. Melvin Gordon looked really good in this game. Teddy Bridgewater looked solid in this game. They've got a fantastic defense. Not worried about this particular game at all. Giving this game to the Broncos. Next up, we got the 0-1 Minnesota Vikings headed to Arizona to face the 1-0 Cardinals. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect from Minnesota coming into this year. I thought earlier in the offseason, I really loved them. Later in the offseason, I was kind of concerned about stuff that was going on around the team. They came out last week and just blew it against Cincinnati. Arizona came out last week, and I thought they would lose to Tennessee. I thought it would be a close game, but I thought they would lose. They ended up blowing Tennessee out of the water. They had a very good game. Kyler Murray had a great game. Nuke had a good game as well. I think going back home, they're going to have another great game. Minnesota is going to be in over their head. I just don't think that they're a very good team. I think they're about a 500 team. I think Arizona's about a 500 team as well, but that's only because of the division they're in. And I think Arizona's the better team, so I'm going to take them at home.
Minnesota is such a disappointing team. Not surprising that they're bad. It's not. They just are. And there's some controversy surrounding them and their whole COVID thing that I'm not going to get into. But I have a sinking suspicion that that's going to become an issue at some point later on down the line in the season. For now, they're healthy. Just not impressed by what I saw out of them up till now. Even though, I love what I saw out of Dalvin Cook. But I love Dalvin Cook every year. When he's fully healthy, Dalvin Cook is an impressive running back. They're going to Arizona. Arizona looked great in their win. Really surprisingly as good as that they looked in their win. Nuke is going to nuke. That's just who Nuke is. Just know what you're getting when you have him. And this connection that he has with Kyler Murray is just so great to see. Arizona is going to get this win. It's no doubt about it. I know that at some point the Vikings are going to start capturing wins, but I don't see it happening there in Arizona. Definitely giving this one to the Cardinals. Next up, we got the 0-1 Atlanta Falcons headed to Tampa to face the 1-0 Buccaneers. Dominic, who you got?
Division matchup. Atlanta looked terrible last week. The only thing that looked as bad as Atlanta last week are the Bumblebee Steelers uniforms. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they look good. They didn't blow out Dallas like a lot of us thought they would, but Tom Brady looked at like his normal young 44-year-old self. Antonio Brown had a touchdown. Gladman had a touchdown. It was good all around there. Their defense didn't play that well, but I don't think they're going to have to play as well as they needed to last week against Atlanta this week. Yes, Calvin Ridley's a great player. Matt Ryan's pretty good as well, but that's all they have there. Kyle Pitts didn't really do anything last week. I don't think he's going to do anything again this week. And I'm going to take the defending Super Bowl champions to win this one.
It's hard to pick against Tom Brady. First of all, he has a crazy amount of weapons. And I'm going to tell you right now, Mike Evans is heated that he didn't get more catches last week. So he's going to be all in this week. He's going to be screaming and hollering to get Tom Brady's attention so he gets more catches, meaning there's more possibility of more touchdowns for sure this week. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown. They got Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette in the backfield. You got Tom Brady as your quarterback. You got Gronk as your tight end. My goodness, talk about weapons, you guys. Atlanta, again, you got Matt Ryan. He's got a good receiver in Calvin Ridley. Mike Davis looked good in the backfield. But you going up against Tampa in Tampa? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Definitely got to get this game to the Buccaneers. Next up, we got the 0-1 Dallas Cowboys headed to Los Angeles to face the 1-0 Chargers. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, this one's going to be tough. This is going to be a very high-scoring game. I know the Chargers only scored 23 points last week in a win, but that was against Washington's defense. If there's one thing we know about Dallas is they may have a D in Dallas, but there's no D in their defense. They are terrible on defense. I think that the Chargers are going to be able to go all up and down the field on them with Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert leading the way, with Keenan Allen there as well. But on the other side of the ball, yes, Darwin James is back, and that's awesome. They don't really have a whole lot more on their defense as well in Los Angeles, so it's going to be tough. I know Michael Gallup's going to miss this game, but they still have two great receivers in Dallas, not to mention Ezekiel Elliott with Dak Prescott being back and looking healthy. So this one I think is going to be a shootout, but I'm actually going to take Dallas to get their first win here.
Dallas is going to get some wins. Come on now. They're not going to go 0 and whatever this season, especially so long as they got a healthy Dak Prescott and a healthy Zeke. It just is what it is. He's got great receivers there. I love this. I tell people all the time, I love this kid, CeeDee Lamb. And again, he has Amari Cooper on the other side. I know that they lost Michael Gallup. He wasn't, I mean, that's not significant because, again, like I said, he's got Amari Cooper and he's got this kid, CeeDee Lamb, who's just so phenomenal. So long as Dak is healthy, we know that these Cowboys are going to be a force of nature. They're going to face the Chargers. I love Justin Herbert. I like Austin Eckler is one of my favorite running backs. I try and get him every year in fantasies, just is a thing. Keenan Allen is probably one of the top 5 receivers in the league. He has Mike Williams on the other side, who only gets a few catches, but it's enough to keep the drives going, which you need from time to time. Do I think that the Cowboys could drop to 0-2 coming across the country and facing these Chargers? It's a possibility. This one's a tough one for me, you guys, because again, it's going to be a shootout. They've got so many offensive weapons, and both defenses are a little bit So at the end of the day, though, I'm gonna give this one to the Chargers. I just got a little bit more faith in what the Chargers can do when they're playing at home and playing in that nice, big, huge SoFi Stadium. So giving this one to the Chargers. Next up, we got the 0-1 Tennessee Titans headed to Seattle to face the 1-0 Seahawks. Dominic, who you got?
We saw what Seattle did last week. Russ Wilson had 4 touchdowns, barely 20 completions. I think he can do the same thing against this Tennessee defense. The Tennessee defense is not very good at all. We saw Arizona go all over them at home last week. Now they're going to be on the road in Seattle. Seattle's home opener. The 12th man wasn't there last year. It's going to be back in a big way this year. I think Chris Carson's going to have a good game. We saw Tyler Lockett had 2 touchdowns last week. DK Metcalf had a touchdown as well. I think they're going to do a great job in their home opener. They could put up 40 points against this Tennessee defense. It's just not that good. Their defense isn't great, but I still think they're going to hold them down to enough. So I do think Seattle's going to win this game.
You guys, the Seahawks have the 12s back. And having the 12s back is a huge boost for this team because Seattle, it's hard to win in that stadium. Seattle, their stadium, and Kansas City and Arrowhead are the 2 worst stadiums to have to play a team in. I'm just telling you what it is, and you have to know that going in. The Titans on defense looked like garbage last week. Listen, Derrick Henry is going to have great numbers again this season. Will he get up over 1,000? 1,800, 2,000 yards. He'll get over 1,000. Definitely not getting up into the 2,000 range. Don't see that happening this year. Especially, they just got such a terrible defense. And I like A.J. Brown. And I like them bringing Julio Jones in there. And I like Ryan Tannehill. Is it possible for them to start out the season 0-2, though, going there to Seattle and having to face Russell Wilson with the combination of Tyler Lockett, who looked good, and DK Metcalf, who looked great, and the running game with Chris Carson and how well this defense played? Absolutely. Definitely got to get this to the Seahawks. The 12s are going to be back. They're going to get the win. Next up, we got the 1-0 Kansas City Chiefs headed to Baltimore to face the 0-1 Ravens. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, this is 2 great teams, 2 teams that are Super Bowl contenders. The Chiefs are obviously the Super Bowl favorites. The Chiefs also own Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're going to own him again this week. The Ravens come into this game very hurt. They've lost most of their running back depth to ACL injuries this offseason, which was tough to see. Hollywood Brown actually had a touchdown this week, which was great that he finally had a 30-yard touchdown. That shows that he does still have it, or starting to get even more of a connection with Lamar Jackson. We know the defense there is great, but it's not nearly as good as the Patrick Mahomes-led offense in Kansas City. They just put on a clinic last week after coming out slow. They have Travis Kelce, still the best tight end in the league. They had Tyreek Hill. He had a 75-yard touchdown again. He's just a speed demon, and he's going to run all over this Baltimore defense. So give me the Chiefs in this one as well to stay undefeated against Baltimore.
You guys, I would love to pick Baltimore because they're at home, but it's so hard to pick against the Chiefs because the Chiefs proved to us last week that they could be down, that they could be behind, and that if you don't keep your foot on the pedal until that clock reads 0, you are screwed. Patrick Mahomes knows how to win games, period. It don't matter if they are 4 touchdowns ahead or 3 touchdowns behind. They are going to get the W. They're going to figure out how to get it done, period. That's just who they are as a team. I I like what I saw, the connection, of course, with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, continuing on playing as dominant as he in at the tight end position. This is a great, great team, you guys, and they're just continuing it. And they made the little changes that they needed to in the offseason to improve this defense, which looked great in that fourth quarter when they needed to take over the game. So very confident in them. Baltimore, meanwhile, they has suffered some really tragic injuries. They lost damn near their whole running back room. They also lost Marcus Peters on that defense. This team is really, really hurt right now. I'm not saying that they won't get wins, especially in that division that plays each other so tough, but I don't see them being able to beat the Chiefs just the way that the Chiefs play at the high level that the Chiefs play. I don't see the Ravens being able to get this win, definitely giving this game to the Chiefs. And last up is our Monday night game. We got the 0-1 Detroit Lions headed to Green Bay to face the 0-1 Packers. Dominic, who you got?
I'm just going to answer this with a question. Do you really think Aaron Rodgers is going to lose to Detroit? I don't see that happening. I know Detroit played really, really hard last week. They were down by 28 in the fourth quarter and almost came back and won that game. Green Bay against Detroit is just unfair. Green Bay is pissed off after going to Florida last week and looking like garbage. And I just think that Aaron Rodgers is going to light them up for probably 4 touchdowns in this game. And it could be over by halftime. Although last year it took a miracle at the end of the game for them to win. I don't think it's going to be that close this year.
And again, the difference between last year's team and this year's team was last year, they had Matthew Stafford at quarterback. They do not. They have Jared Goff. Do not have the same kind of faith in the type of comeback readiness that Matthew Stafford has. I don't see that in Jared Goff. I'd like DeAndre Swift. I don't see enough out of this team, and that defense is always suspect to me. Green Bay, meanwhile, is furious that they lost. Aaron Rodgers in the post-game presser was pissed. He was so disappointed in this team, and he's going to have these guys fired up. He is not trying to start out this season 0-2, 0-3, 0-4. That's not going to happen. Especially they're playing there back at home at Lambeau Field. Absolutely not can the Detroit Lions beat them there at home. Definitely giving this one to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home. Well, you guys, that's all our matchups. Dominic, give me 1 start and 1 sit in fantasy for week 2.
Yeah, for a start, I would go with running back Eli Mitchell, but I think everybody's going to give you that, especially with Raheem Mostert being out. So I'm going to go down 95 a little bit and go to Washington and say start J.D. McKissick. We saw last year when Heineke was there, and even during the regular season, he had the most receptions and targets out of the running back position of anybody in the league. He's going to have that again. There are going to be a lot of dump downs with Heineke there. So J.D. McKissick, if he's on your waiver wire, or if you can start him as your second running back, I think he's a very, very good option, and I'm probably going to start him in a couple of my leagues. Sit somebody. It may seem pretty easy, but I know a lot of people are going to be happy that they started him last week after he had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touch or passing touchdown. Sam Darnold, he did have a good game. He got the victory, but that was a revenge game against the Jets. This week he's going up against the Saints defense. I think that the Saints are going to try and run the ball. They're going to try and milk the clock. They're not going to let the Panthers be on the field a whole lot. And when they are, I think their defense is going to take over. So as many good vibes as you have about Sam Darnold, don't play him this week because he's not going to do good against New Orleans.
Well, you guys, that's all the time that we have today. Want to thank everybody again for listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at TheNFLGirl320. Dominic, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at EnvisionFF.
You can read more of my work on SheKnowsProFootball.com. Dominic, where can they read your work?
You can read my work at The Athletic, at expandtheboxscore.com, clubfantasy.com, as well as on the Fantasy Football Hot Read podcast on Sunday nights.
Well, that's all the time we have. See you guys back here next week.